Greenland, a strategic asset or a people's homeland? Today we're diving into how one man's real estate ambitions are colliding with a nation's quest for self-determination.
Oh, that's quite the opening. Are we talking about Trump's renewed interest in acquiring Greenland?
Exactly, it's like déjà vu, isn't it? We're seeing Donald Trump express interest in buying Greenland. Again. But this time, there's a new twist. His son, Donald Trump Jr., has made a private visit to the island. It's got people talking, and for good reason.
So what's the deal with this visit? Is it really just a casual trip, or is there more to it?
Well, officially, it's being billed as a personal trip. No official meetings, no fanfare. Just Donald Jr. checking out the magnificent areas and sights, as his father put it. But here's where it gets interesting. While Jr.'s over there, Trump Sr. is busy on social media, dropping hints about his renewed interest in making Greenland a part of the United States.
That's ambitious, to say the least. But hasn't Greenland already made it clear they're not interested in becoming the 51st state?
Absolutely. In fact, Greenland's Prime Minister, Mute Egede, has been pushing for something quite different: independence from Denmark. It's a complex issue rooted in Greenland's colonial past and the growing awareness of historical abuses against the Inuit population. We're not just talking about a piece of real estate here. This is a land with a rich culture, a painful history, and a people who are actively working to shape their own destiny.
Right. And it's not just Greenland pushing back. Denmark's been pretty firm on this too, hasn't it?
You bet. Denmark's Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen has stated unequivocally that Greenland belongs to the Greenlanders and is not for sale. It's almost comical how we're even having this conversation in the 21st century, isn't it? The idea of one country simply buying another seems so outdated.
Well, you'd think so, but here we are. And it's not just Greenland, right? Trump's been making noise about other geopolitical assets too.
Exactly. He's also been talking about taking back control of the Panama Canal. It's like he's got a shopping list of geopolitical assets he wants to acquire. But let's circle back to Greenland for a moment. There's more to this than just Trump's desire to expand U.S. territory. The island has significant strategic importance, especially as the Arctic becomes a new frontier for geopolitical competition.
Oh, that's an interesting point. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure thing. Greenland is home to a large U.S. military base, and its location makes it a key player in the ongoing power struggle between nations like the U.S., China, and Russia for control and influence in the Arctic region. As the Arctic ice melts due to climate change, new shipping routes are opening up. This could potentially reshape global trade patterns and access to natural resources. So while Trump's methods might seem outlandish, there's a certain strategic logic behind his interest in Greenland.
So it's not just about expanding territory, but about securing a foothold in what could be a crucial region in the future?
Exactly. It's a complex geopolitical chess game. But here's the thing. We can't forget that Greenland isn't just a strategic asset or a piece on a game board. It's home to around 56,000 people, most of whom are Inuit. These people have been grappling with the impacts of climate change long before it became a global talking point. The melting ice caps aren't just changing the landscape, they're altering traditional hunting practices, threatening coastal communities, and opening up new economic opportunities that come with their own set of challenges.
That's a really important point. It's easy to get caught up in the big picture geopolitics and forget about the actual people living there.
Absolutely. And that's what makes Trump's renewed interest in buying Greenland so problematic. It completely disregards the agency and aspirations of the Greenlandic people. It's a classic case of viewing the world through a very narrow, self-interested lens. Trump sees Greenland as a strategic asset, but for Greenlanders, it's their home, their heritage, their future.
So in essence, what we're seeing here is a clash between old-world thinking about territorial expansion and the modern realities of a globalized, interconnected world facing unprecedented environmental challenges?
You've hit the nail on the head there. And it's not just about Greenland either. This story touches on broader themes that we're seeing play out across the globe. The tension between national sovereignty and global interests. the struggle of indigenous peoples to maintain their identity and rights in the face of outside pressures, the challenge of balancing economic development with environmental protection. These are issues that we're grappling with in many parts of the world, from the Amazon rainforest to the South China Sea.
It's fascinating how one story about a private visit and some social media posts can open up such a wide-ranging discussion, isn't it?
That's the beauty of diving deep into these stories. What might seem like a quirky headline at first glance often reveals itself to be a window into much larger, more complex issues. And that's what we strive to do here, to take these stories and use them as a starting point for broader discussions about the world we live in and the challenges we face.
And in doing so, hopefully we can encourage our listeners to approach the news with a more critical eye, to look beyond the surface-level narratives and consider the deeper implications of world events.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, these stories aren't just about distant lands or abstract geopolitical concepts. They're about real people, real communities, and the very real challenges they face. Whether it's the Inuit people of Greenland grappling with the impacts of climate change and the pressures of geopolitics, or communities in Panama concerned about potential changes to the canal that's so crucial to their economy, these issues have tangible effects on people's lives.
Well said. So, as we wrap up, what do you think are the key takeaways from this story?
I'd say the main takeaways are: first, we need to approach global issues with nuance and empathy, considering the perspectives of all stakeholders, especially those most directly affected. Second, the Arctic is becoming an increasingly important geopolitical arena, and we should expect to see more attention focused on this region in the coming years. And finally, the challenges facing Greenland, from climate change to self-determination, are emblematic of broader global issues that we'll need to grapple with in the 21st century.
Those are great points. I'd add that this story also highlights the importance of respecting sovereignty and self-determination in an increasingly interconnected world. It's a reminder that we can't simply impose our will or our vision on other nations or peoples.
Absolutely. As we move forward, it'll be crucial to find ways to balance strategic interests with respect for sovereignty and human rights. The world is changing rapidly, and our approach to international relations needs to evolve with it. Well, folks, that brings us to the end of today's episode. Remember, the next time you hear about a world leader wanting to buy a country, take a moment to consider all the layers beneath that headline. There's always more to the story.
Couldn't agree more. Where we dive deep into the stories that shape our world. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.